The man heard there was a luxury prison where they served lobster, abalone, and escargot every day. So he volunteered to get incarcerated, with a simple goal: to kick his decades-long smoking habit. When the protagonist woke from a coma, he found himself on the 48th floor of the prison, sharing the cell with an elderly inmate. To his astonishment, it was a vertical prison looking down. The abyss seemed endless. Looking up, he couldn't see the top. He friendly reached out to greet his cellmate, but the old man was wary and snapped, "Get back to your side." Soon, though, the old man knelt before him with a pillow. Puzzled, the protagonist watched as mealtime arrived. A massive platform descended from above and stopped at their floor. The old man grabbed the food and gobbled it up. The protagonist stared at the table. Where was the so-called luxury feast? It was nothing but scraps. It dawned on him, there were 47 floors above them, each with 2 inmates. They were eating the leftovers of 94 people. The thought made him sick. He refused to eat, but the old man warned, "You'd better eat something, this is the only meal today." The protagonist picked the cleanest apple he could find. Shortly after, the platform began descending. They had only 5 minutes each time. The old man chugged down his wine and spat over the edge. When the protagonist scolded him for being unethical, the floor suddenly started heating up. "If there's any food left when the platform leaves," the old man said, "the floor will heat up indefinitely until we cook to death." The protagonist immediately threw the apple down. For the next few days, he stuck to his guns, refusing to eat others' leftovers. But after 3 days of hunger, he finally caved. The man opened his eyes and found himself trussed up tight, unable to move an inch. Before he could process the situation, an old man approached wielding a dagger. The protagonist's heart sank when he realized they were on floor 171. "No food ever comes here," the old man sneered. "Only 2 choices, eat or be eaten." It was clear which role the old man intended to play. Soon, the air filled with blood-curdling screams. Similar horrors were unfolding on adjacent floors. Some couldn't bear it and jumped to their deaths. "I'll give you 8 days, the old man said. "Then I start carving your flesh." When the food platform descended, it was barren, even the plates had been licked spotless. The protagonist's desperate shouts echoed uselessly. Time crawled as he endured 8 agonizing days bound to the bed, forced to relieve himself where he lay. His pleas for help went unanswered. On the 8th day, the old man returned, slashing into his thigh with the dagger. The searing pain made him howl until a female assassin emerged from the platform, knocked the old man aside, and freed him. She pressed the dagger into his hand, and he staggered over, unleashing pent-up rage. Days later, starving, he forced himself to swallow maggots from the old man's corpse. Surviving off the remains, he clung on until the next month. Fortune smiled this time. He was reassigned to floor 33, where his new cellmate was a woman clutching a pet dog. She'd once been a prison administrator, though no one knew why she'd ended up here. He picked a strand of hair out of the pudding, then called all the chefs in a rage to compare their hair one by one. The prison had ridiculously harsh standards for food, but they had no clue about the real situation inside. This prison was divided into 3 types of people: the upper class, the lower class, and those falling from grace. Some were trying to change the world. When they reached the 333rd floor, the very bottom, they found a little girl under the bed. Both were stunned. The platform kept descending, but there was no one below. Just a dark void, like hell. Seeing how hungry the girl was, they decided to give her the pudding instead of keeping it. The next day, the male lead found the black man had bled to death, so he placed the girl on the platform, letting her ride it up to the top, while he walked into the dark void. The upper classes had endless resources to squander, while the lower levels had to scrape by on scraps. Down there, people fought over every bite, devolving into animals. It shows how greed is ingrained in human nature. If food were evenly distributed, there'd be enough for everyone, but that ideal will never happen, just like how a tiny minority always holds 99% of society's wealth, and true equality is impossible. You also see human laziness. You can ask 1 or 2 people to curb their desires, but you can't make everyone do it. You can use force to control others, but you can't civilize them with kindness. So why did the male lead send the little girl up? He wanted to prove to those at the top that even if you think the world is cruel and humanity is ugly, there are still people who believe in, if not me, people who fight to bring a little light and change the world.